for coffee, and I'm here for ETH Paris as well. So let's catch up so we kind of get back on schedule. Yes? Excellent. So I'm Simona, and I'm a co-founder of the Bounties Network. The Bounties Network, for everybody who doesn't know, is essentially a platform that is enabling the outsourcing and completion of various tasks. Traditionally, in our ecosystem, bounties have mainly been used for things like bugs, like code, so incredibly dev-oriented tasks. But what we started doing in 2018 is really diversifying the use of bounties across various different verticals. And we started small, we started testing, do bounties apply for design? Do they apply to art? Do they apply to music? Do they apply to research? And the answer to all of those things was yes. And so round about June time, we also wondered whether they would apply for social impact or to social impact projects. And we also found out that yes, they do. So impact in real life, affecting change and empowering people. So this will be super, super quick. Some social impact stats, they're pretty dire. They still are, even though we've been working on a whole bunch of UN SDGs for a while. It's not, the needle isn't necessarily moving in the right direction. So we still have 40% of the people in the world are unbanked. We still only have 36% with smartphones, and this should be very important to us all. We're talking about wallets, we're talking about adoption, but it's still a very low number of people who can participate in what we're doing. And then 80% earn less than $10 a day. So again, it is something, and not necessarily just in your traditional geographies of developing countries, but in certain pockets of populations, even in, let's say, the Western Europe and the Americas as well. What is the opportunity? So the opportunity here clearly is through blockchain, and specifically blockchain bounties, because, stay on brand, is to broaden the access to information, to resource and work. And when I say broaden the access, I mean not just to technical people and not just in the classic geographies of access, i.e. again, America, Western Europe, potentially Asia and so on. Then mobilize people in underserved communities. Again, this is something that will be a little bit difficult because of the access to those smartphones and to those internet connections, but it is possible, and I'll speak about how we've discovered it's possible. And then creating alternatives in terms of frameworks to deliver income and value. A lot of talk has been, we talk a lot about certain jobs disappearing and what are we doing to replace those jobs and so on. And this is true. A lot of traditional jobs are transitioning, and even a lot of full-time frameworks of employment are transitioning. So how do we create those viable alternatives for those people in those roles to be able to still, again, have an income, have access to information and value, and be able to, earn a living? So the blockchain for social impact, and Vanessa is here actually from Blockchain for Social Impact. It's incredibly important in terms of the application of blockchain for three main reasons, and this is why we've been exploring it and why we've been doing bounties for social impact. Transparent funding. It's a big, big problem that we have in the charity systems today, where a charity, which is a centralized organization, will ask you, the individual, for money, and then you kind of have to blind trust that they're going to do what they say they're going to do with your money. You never actually know whether your $5, your $10 achieve whatever it is that they said that they're going to do with it. There have been several scandals, as we know, with the Red Cross. I can't remember, I think it was Katrina, where they raised $4 million and then they managed to build a total of 6 houses. So where the rest of the money went, nobody knows. And so that transparent funding, particularly with a bounty format, is that the full pot of the bounty will only ever go to the payouts. There is no 20% going to marketing, no 50% going to exec payouts, and so on. The full amount goes out to payouts, and it's incredibly easy to trace. The new means of income, again, providing those valuable and effective alternatives to whatever the framework is now, particularly where those traditional jobs are disappearing. And then lasting change in terms of environment, you could have long-term bounties that only issue a reward after a certain period of time or a certain repetitive action, like subbing your plastic cutlery with bamboo for 6 months and submitting proof that you have done so as a business will earn you a reward. And you could potentially choose whether to take that reward or pass it forward to other social impact bounties. This is, again, a very feasible scenario. So again, for bounty for everybody or anybody who doesn't know, but I'm sure you all know, it's a reward offered by an individual or an organization for the completion of a certain task. And again, this makes it incredibly, incredibly flexible in terms of what you could apply it to. My mantra, and many of you who know me know that I will always be, well, you could bounty it. If you can think of it, you can probably bounty it. And it's true. You can apply it to a hell of a lot of things, including making an impact in several different areas, not just, you know, your environment or your kind of classic social impact application. So because I'm a big believer in examples, and I'm a big believer in, you know, walking the walk, not just talking the talk. The bounties for the oceans, I'll just give you the example of the project. We started this in partnership with MakerDAO around World Oceans Day last year, with the specific goal of something that would continue way beyond just a day, way beyond just a hashtag, and also re-engineer the way a social impact kind of program would work. And we said, okay, with bounties for the oceans, I'm not gonna ask you individuals for money, I'm actually gonna reward you, the individual, for verifiable proof of cleanups. It could be on a beach, it could be in a park, it could be in your street, it could be anywhere you want. If you submit proof that you have done it, a very rustic, verifiable proof right now, it's a photo with a filter for the location, with a filter for the date, and you in the image with the trash. Some people have submitted to it, you know, photos with today's paper, all very, you know, Web 2 meets Web 3 situation, which will, of course, perfect, but it is working. And so we started getting submissions from a lot of people. We wanted to launch it and say, okay, let's see what happens. Let's see if people participate. Long story short, we've had submissions to that particular bounty from several regions in the US, in the UK, from Tasmania, from people in Romania, from people in Venezuela, and really capturing a lot of audiences that had no idea about crypto before completing this bounty. So, and people, the feedback that we got was, isn't this wonderful to be able to come into contact with crypto through something that is incredibly non-traditional, i.e. earning crypto for a good cause instead of buying it. So a whole new model of introducing audiences to what we're doing here. And so I don't know if this is gonna play. Oh, he's gone. We're on our own. We're on our own, folks.
The trash issue.
Okay, it is playing. Oh no. Oh no, what did I do? Okay, so if, and for people, this is very, very short. It's the trailer for a documentary that we filmed in Manila doing this, Bounties for the Oceans, with 224 people on this beach. And here's kind of what happened. Let's see if that works. You left, I was scared. You're back, it's okay.
The trash issue really is impacting people's lives.
Garbage everywhere.
Pupunta dito ang tao para mangingisda. Pag-uwi, wala rin naman makuha dahil lahat ng basura na pupunta sa dagat ang kalat.
What happens when a traditional job like fishing stops being sustainable? You need to create new means of income. You need to create alternatives.
Incentives are behavior changing. If you're able to channel that, you're going to be able to mobilize a lot of people.
Itong ginagawa namin is hindi para sa amin, hindi para sa next future or generation.
We saw that monetary incentives were a great way to get people on the ground, but now that they're here, they actually can look past those incentives and really feel the intrinsic motivation.
Okay, so we're launching that, the full documentary. We're actually doing a screening at South by Southwest next week, and then we're gonna release it all online. The gist of it is, and I won't go through this, but we wanted to reward people in ETH that, and also get a partner on the ground, and you saw Ron from coins.ph, that enables people to then exchange the ETH into pesos, into Filipino pesos, because we knew that we had to get a partner on the ground who would enable people who wanted to or who needed to converted could, rather than us going over and saying, hey, here's free internet money, but you can't use it or anything. So this was very important to us, and also the recycling of the trash that we collected. And these are the stats. They're incredibly small by, environmental standards, but this is what we managed to gather in 2.5 hours per day. We ran our program for 2 days, so a total of 5 hours, with 224 people spread across the 2 days. It was 3.3 tons of trash. And we had a partner on the ground, Ron, who you saw there speaking about the fact that we're doing this for future generations. They basically handled the recycling and the segregations of the trash. And what they do is all of the plastic, they melt it down, turn it into these plastic slabs that then they have a contract with the highway authority in Manila to use it for paving new roads. So that potentially is then a loop for these kind of cleanups to potentially sustain the local, traditionally fishermen communities that you saw there. The fish is dwindling. It's not really sustainable anymore. Could this be an alternative of not only cleaning up their environment, but also earning a living? And so again, we, the things that we learned were that we need to educate people, that we need to be very aware that the stuff that we're building will not be accessible to a lot of people right now. Out of the people who turned up, we only had 10% of them had smartphones. And so we had to come up with solutions. So we organized them into teams with representatives who had smartphones per team, then transferred the ETH to the people with the smartphones, then they exchanged it and gave out pesos to the people who didn't have smartphones. This was an incredibly stressful time, but it was doable. And the thing that is the most important about this is that we have people who are still fulfilling that bounty. The ones that have Trust Wallet on their phones, I've got about 10 people who regularly go and clean up and claim the bounty, and I accept it, and that's a steady income. And it's been going on since December, because that bounty is still live. What we did was we crowdsourced funds for it as well. So we had people donating $5. We had some projects going $200 and so on. Obviously, the Bounties Network put a lot of money in there, but that was the goal, to empower people to be able to continue this new, or benefiting from this new means of income without my needing to be there, without anybody needing to be there, and potentially then being able to onboard other people in their community and so on. So as Vitalik once said, this isn't mine, it's his, change the incentives, change the world. It's possible that these incentives, and we've had this conversation throughout, is incentives are incredibly powerful, even if to get people in, even if it's their introduction into crypto. Because once that happens, once they earn and they are able to explore what we have to offer, then potentially they become, new members of our ecosystem. So thank you so much. That wasn't bad. I managed to make up a lot of time. Thank you so much. Like I say, I'm going to be here afterwards. I'm here after to watch this amazing panel coming after me. But I'll be here for coffee tomorrow. So let's chat. You can find me on Twitter. And yeah, thank you so much.